Okay. It's weird. I know I talk a lot in this game, but it's like not like of my own commentary. It's of like games, like lines. So it's like weird to like be so like just to have so much things come out of my mouth, but at the same time it's not for like anything other than like I don't know. That's just something that just came to mind. Is this even entertaining? Probably not. It was around 9 o'clock that evening. I visited my neighbor and took some tea with me as a gift. We had a heated literary debate over a nice hot drink, after which I went back to my room at around 11. Arrgh! My tea was completely harmless! He couldn't have locked the door behind me otherwise, could he? Strychnine takes some time to have an effect on the body. People don't keel over immediately after taking it. The victim would have been perfectly able to lock the door after his guest left. The argument still stands. I just realized that that thing in his head was a little book. Yes, I see. It all seems relatively straightforward. Excuse me, but that testimony does raise one rather crucial point, I think. Ryunosuke said anything during this? I feel like he hasn't said anything. He's just like had like exclamation marks. Oh no, he has thought something. Never mind. He thought something, I remember. Mr. Natsume claims his tea to have been harmless. Presumably, though. The teacups have been examined for traces of the poison. Haven't they? Why didn't I think of that? I don't know, because the game didn't want you to, like, have any say at this time, for some reason. Well, as it happens, no. We haven't been able to. I hear you correctly, Inspector. Scotland Yard has failed to examine the suspect substance. How could you have overlooked something so important? Isn't that the first thing you should have done? My Lord Duporni's friend is falsely incensed. I'm not incensed. The inspector said Scotland Yard was unable to examine the tea, not that it was overlooked. Unable? Why? It's simple enough. There was none left. Not a drop. Someone must have been very thirsty indeed. And how did you know it was strychnine, whatever it is? With current scientific techniques, it's not possible to test for poison under such circumstances. We only need a drop. That one drop does actually have to exist, funnily enough. The lack of examination notwithstanding, it appears nothing other than the tea passed the victim's lips on the night in question. RC, thank you. The matter is clear. Cast your eyes over the jury, my learned friend. What? You'd see it in their faces, I'm sure. Recognition of the accuser's guilt. This girl doesn't know who he is. Your client's fate is all but sealed. In mere moments from now, you will lose, and your compatriot will be damned for all eternity. He's right. I can feel all 6 of the jurors looking daggers at me. I can't let them beat me down. I won't. Also for the defense. Read with your cross-examination. I just Yes, my lord. So they examined, did they, am I assuming that they found the strychnine whatever on his lips? Because if it's then it's clearly the fucking soap that he ate, right? Or the butter? Or whatever the fuck it is. Has that been brought up? I guess maybe it must be, it'll probably be brought up, right? We have a few things in the court record that we should probably go over. Not that. A receipt for some books that Mr. Natsume purchased as a second-hand bookshop. It was submitted as evidence in the trial the other day. This is, was this used for when we were at the house? Because we found his books in the James. We found Soseki's books that he bought, that showed on his book receipt, in Shamspeare's room. And that's how we knew that he was there or whatever. This... do these even matter? I don't know. Cheap bar of soap that was discovered just outside of Mr. Shamspeare's window. It's one of the 2 that were found there. This. Oh. What is it, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh my god, I was about to say Natsume. This bar of soap. When we first found it, I could have sworn there was some sort of round disc in the depression here. A reddish one. Oh, was there? Oh shit, I don't remember that. Yes, you're right. I remember it too. Now that the depression is completely empty, where could the disc have gone? What? How did it go missing? Is it in your pocket? How did it go missing? Interesting. A ripped piece of envelope that was found in Mr. Shamspeare's room. The rest of the envelope could not be located. Not inside. Whoever opened this envelope didn't bother with a letter opener or scissors, did they? Yes, whoever opened it was clearly someone with an unrefined temperament. And judging from that angle of the rip here, the person in question must have been right-handed. Mr. Sato, I think perhaps someone's been reading too much of the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. You can never read too much about it, Mr. Naruhodo. Never. I don't know, I don't think that really matters because actually, the way this is ripped, it looks like it's a fucking like thunderbolt. I guess how would it rip that wide? I guess the idea she says is right-handed is because the top part is like wider and you pulled it down or something like that. I don't know. I can use both hands to open my letters usually, or rather, I use like one or the other. Not both at the same time, but like one or the other. But whatever. The teacups used by Mr. Shamspeare and Mr. Natsume. The one with the green line around the rim was Mr. Natsume. There are stains. Nothing else aside from the stain. Oh, can't examine the stain. Oh, there's a line in what's his name's cup. It's the teacup from which Mr. Natsume was drinking. Yes, unlike the other one, inside of the cup is completely clean. I suppose he must have drunk the contents before the tea had a chance to leave a mark. I always gulp it down too. Sorry, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, if you just sip it little by little, it goes cold. Clearly, I shall have to instruct you in the proper way to take tea. If he wants to gulp it down, he'll gulp it down. It doesn't matter. This must be the cup that Mr. Shamspeare was drinking from then. It's stained on the inside. Tea does that, I'm afraid. Even green tea. Really? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, really? I've never noticed it before. You've never noticed? I didn't. Well, I never leave it in the cup long enough to leave a mark. I like to gulp it down. Drink tea while it's hot. That's the Japanese way, isn't it? Oh dear, so many people seem to have the wrong idea about our culture, and most of them are Japanese. I mean, I don't think Naruhodo speaks for all of Japanese people, but... Right-handed. Right-handed. So Shamspeare was left-handed and Natsume. So was that letter Natsume's letter or something? Or it's someone else. Also, actually, that's weird. Looking at how far Natsume's cup, like the handle, in comparison to where the lips are, he was holding the cup, but he like had the cup tilted this way to drink. Almost like he just like. Meanwhile, this one is like closer to the. But this is also too close, because then it's like you have the cup straight like this, and then you tilt it this way to drink. Like it's too close to the handle. Why do people drink tea so fucking weirdly? Whatever. And then this is the photo. But yeah, we can't examine anything here. Like there's no comments left. I mean, Ryunosuke doesn't say anything about this. Look at the little bow on his shoe. All right. Okay. Let's go ahead and press everything. Were you and your neighbor good friends then? Arg! No! We weren't friends! Not at all! Not at all! Never! Ever! Then why'd you bring him tea? Simple no would have sufficed. They should have left his armband on this like alternate costume. It's weird that they would take that out. Like he can dress up spiffy and cool and still also be a lawyer. Then why did you decide to pay him a visit? Mr. Shamspeare fancies himself as having great literary knowledge. As a fellow scholar of English literature, we find much to talk about together. But then, why wouldn't you be friends? Come now, no Nipponis could understand the finer points of English literature. He was sent. Can you fucking see that rat? It has such such large ears? Why is it there? What is the significance of this little rat? I was about to say little man. And on the night in question, that was the topic of conversation as well, I presume. It was the day of my last trial, when I was accorded. I just arrived back at my lodgings. When I ran into Mr. Shakespeare outside on the street. It's around 6 o'clock. We exchanged one or two pleasantries, but it soon turned into a heated discussion. He was on his way out at the time, though. So I promised to visit his room that evening at 9 to continue our debate. But did I have ill intentions? No! Not one! Not two! Not any! Not at all! Never! Ever! A simple no would have sufficed, I feel. Then tell the court what did happen when you visited the victim's room. We had a heated literary debate over a nice hot drink, after which I went back to my room at about 11. Something I wanted to comment on, now I've forgotten it. Look at it! Look at this fucking shifty ass rat! Like, what is this? What is the deal with him? What is the deal with him? Why does he have such large clout? Who are you? So good. I literally debate about Shakespeare's work, I think you said. Didn't you? If they don't explain him in the game, they must explain him in the fucking art stuff. Shakespeare. Ah, a very worthy topic of conversation, I must say. Ah, yes, my lord. Romeo and Juliet! Who was stronger? It was a profoundly pleasurable parley. Romeo and Juliet. Who was stronger? I know I'm gonna regret asking this, but how did the debate go? The little mouse is like floating. Do you see the gap between his feet and the shoulder pad? He's floating. Is he attached to your ear? Well, we both agreed that we would reach a conclusion more quickly with a reenactment. So we battled it out in a Greco-Roman style, naturally. What? What? Mr. Shakespeare had all sorts of costumes in his room for just such a contest. So when you say a reenactment, you mean you were actually in costume? He as Romeo, and I as Juliet, and after a vigorous wild tussle, I as Juliet came out on top, a victory I'll cherish forever! I dare not imagine the terrible scene of carnage. The fact remains that it was you who prepared the tea and took it to the victim, correct? I boiled the water in my room and made a pot to take with me. I'd heard that he was too poor to have tea himself, you see. It's true, there was no sign of any tea leaves in that man's room. I wanted to do something nice, to be friendly. And why is everyone looking at me with such suspicion? My tea was harmless! Of course it was! Do you have any basis for that statement, witness? I mean, he drank it probably. He's fine. My tea was harmless. How could I yawn at a time like this? Yes, there was not a drop of tea left in the victim's room anywhere, was there? What about that puddle of wet liquid that was on the floor? Did we determine if that was tea or not? Oh, Mario. That's correct. Anyone would think that the fellow had never had a pot of tea before. He must have liked it dry. Which is a pity, because one drop is all we would have need to analyze it for poison. And you say that you returned home to your room at 11 o'clock, Mr. Natsume? Yes, definitely! By heaven and earth, I swear it! The landlord was able to verify that, as it happens. He confirmed that the defendant went back to his room at 11 that night. Was the landlord able to attest to this? He, said it was the lamps, I believe. Lamps, Inspector? When tenants return to their room to start using gas, the lamps in other parts of the house flicker. Yes, the gardener seems to pay a lot of attention to the comings and goings of his tenants. There's only one key to Mr. Shakespeare's room. I know that for certain. So he must have locked the door himself from inside his room. Victim had confirmed that to be the case, yes. So I'm right! My tea was harmless! Completely harmless! If you take poison, you die! Everyone knows that! It's not that simple, I'm afraid. What do you mean? Strychnine 9 takes some time to have effect on the body. People don't blah blah blah. How long does it take for symptoms to appear then? According to the coroner I was speaking at the yard, about 30 minutes after the poison is consumed. Then the victim suffers violent convulsions, cramping and stiffness, and eventually dies from asphyxiation. There's a 30-minute interval between when the poison is ingested and the onset of symptoms. There seems to be a lot of different types of poison in the world, that's for sure. Oh dear, death by poisoning again. It's always so awful. Again? Death by poisoning again. Who was poisoned before? Death by poisoning again. Who was poisoned before? Huh? Who was poisoned before? I know that the first case in this game, there was like a poison related thing. But... death by poisoning again? Oh, who? I can't think of who was poisoned. 30 minutes is a long time. Certainly long enough for the victim to have locked the door behind the accused after he left. You can't deny that. And it further degrades Soseki-san's alibi. I have the medical report from the doctor who examined the victim here, my lord. It spells it out really. The accused is the only person who could have done it. Very well. The court will add this report to the court record as evidence. Oh yes, I see it here. Delayed onset of symptoms. Well, you don't have to read it to me. I'm gonna read it. William Shakespeare 31. Cause of coma. Ingestion of a small quantity of strychnine. Toxic effects are presented 30 minutes after ingestion. High likelihood of the substance having been mixed with the tea the victim was drinking, but no sample could be obtained for testing. Investigator conclusion. The poisoning incident occurred around 1:30 on February 21st. Assessed from the victim's pocket watch, it appears to have broken when the man collapsed after a delayed onset of symptoms. No container for the poison was found at the scene. At 1:30. But didn't Soseki-san say that he left? Didn't they say Soseki left at 11 p.m.? That's well over 30 minutes, isn't it? 1:30, that's like a couple of hours. The victim's watch was broken when the man collapsed after the delayed onset of symptom. Great. The victim would have been perfectly able to lock the door after the argument still stands, you say. This is what Mr. Natsume has been saying, isn't it? A pair of them drank tea together that night. So if there was poison in it, the victim wouldn't have been able to lock the door after the accused left later on. Exactly! Me and my tea are innocent! Sweet and innocent, I tell you! I'm afraid, sir, that doesn't follow. You see, strychnine is a slow-acting poison. In other words, it takes time for symptoms to appear. So you could have left the room up to 30 minutes after the victim drank the tea. And as long as you did that, Mr. Shamster could have locked the door after he'd gone. But no! We drank the tea straight away! The battle over whether Romeo and Juliet was stronger! That came after the tea! Do you have any evidence to support that statement? In my great homeland, the Empire of Japan, we have a saying. Drink tea while it's hot! Sure, proverb will satisfy the prosecution. I'm afraid there's no conclusive proof of this assertion. On the contrary, there is sufficient grounds to infer his guilt in his manner. No! Know what I need to do? I need to drink my tea. I gotta drink it while it's lukewarm. That's the extent of the testimony, is it? If I could voice a personal opinion, Mr. Naruhodo. Of course, go ahead. Mr. Natsume is arguing for his innocence so adamantly and so persistently. Yet Inspector Gregson just brushes what he says aside. It's really quite infuriating. I agree. So we need to find an inconsistency in what the inspector is saying, I think. I'm afraid so. As things stand, the jurors are sure to find Mr. Natsume guilty. As I see it, what we needed to focus on is the poison in the tea. Let's listen carefully to this testimony again. Yes. I'm so gassy. It's something that Gregson said? Okay. I mean, oh my god! Why can't I stop yawning? They say that you yawn because there's not enough oxygen being, like, going into the brain or something like that. I think that's what they say. Do I need to breathe more? Am I not breathing? Okay. Strychnine takes some time to have effect on the body. People don't keel over immediately after taking it. The victim would have been perfectly able to lock the door after his guest left. Argument still stands. Did you see what time? I went back to my room at around 11, right? The idea is that he died like 2 hours after he had left already. Is it this? Nope, it's not. Is it this then? Okay. The argument still stands, you say? I think not, Inspector. Come again? I think you'll find that you've overlooked a very significant chronological inconsistency here. A what? What are you on about? According to this report, the victim must have consumed the poison at around 1:30 in the morning. And yet, the defendant, Mr. Natsume, left the victim's room at 11. Yes, that's right. There's more than 2 hours of missing time here. In other words, if there were poison in the tea that Mr. Natsume brought to the victim's room, how could the victim have fallen ill to it 2.5 hours after the defendant left? Wah! The two of them. The defendant's argument is entirely reasonable. How do you respond, Lord Forensics? Oh shit, I forgot you were here. I don't know how I forgot, but I forgot you were here. You need to go out in the sun more. Actually, I have no right to say that. Pray forgive the discourtesy. My mind has wandered. I was considering what cuisine would best complement the contents of my hallowed chalice this luncheon. Not time for lunch. How could it have happened? You ask. You don't even drink it! You never drink it! I do hate to shatter illusions, but my Nipponese friend appears to be chasing a phantom idea. A phantom? Of the opera? It is so hard to imagine that the victim drank his tea after the accused had left. For example, at the time stated in the medical report. Yes, at around 1:30. Mr. Natsume brought the tea with him to drink together with his neighbor. And in Japan, there is a well-known saying, drink tea while it's hot. Stop bringing that up! In my country, there is an even more apt saying. Shut up. Nothing more refreshing than cold tea. It's one thing if it's iced, but really? Like letting hot tea get cold? The point is, if there was such a long gap, there may be other ways to explain how the victim came to be poisoned. Other possibilities. What sort of possibilities, Counsel? I don't know, like he drank soap water. Shit. Well, for example, the man could have had another visitor. Another visitor. It's a very bold assertion, my learned friend. From someone who has nothing to substantiate it. I know, there's a B-man. There's a B-man that's after this guy. We've seen him a couple of times. He has to be the one who did it. Or the victim could have taken the poison of his own volition. Suggest that this may have been a suicide, Counsel. Mr. Shamspeare has categorically denied suicide. The idea can and must be discounted. Yeah, but he could be lying. Is he pondering? Like, something wrong, Lord Forensics. I was listening to the sound of the carriage pulling up outside the courtroom. Pray forgive the discourtesy. Carriage? What carriage? It would seem that the key player in this case has just arrived. Is it Shamspeare? Out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow. A poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. He's so bright. What are you? William Shakespeare, my lord. Alas, 'twas I, undone by these bitter events. I am the victim. What's he doing here? I mean, he looks like he's all fit and well after being poisoned. The prosecution seeks to call this gentleman to the stand. With his testimony, my learned friend's futile resistance will be utterly crushed. This is just Shakespeare's way of getting back, being like, Juliet didn't win, Romeo won! I was Romeo! You're calling him as a witness! Very well, counsel. I grant your request with interest. I'm curious to discover what the court shall hear from the victim himself. He's just so bright. Ugh, it hurts. Happy am I, Shakespeare, to regale thee with my tales of woe, my lord. But, I still have my own tale to tell! My own tale of worse woe! I can regale the court with a tale of my perfect innocence and perfect English! That will do, Mr. Nocturne. Let the court hear now from the victim. Okay. Why is he so... Hey, the B-Man's here! Alright, so that's Mr. Shakespeare. But who's that other man besides him? He did it, he's the man. He was outside the window being a perv and he saw it, he did it. Yes, I feel sure that we've caught a glimpse of that man before. State your names and occupation for the court, please, witnesses. A writer of words so sweet, they do scent the breeze. An inventor of ideas so profound, they compose the earth. The unrivaled poet, unmatched scribe, William Shakespeare, were the great bard to be recalled to life anew. Lo, what a magnificent man! Good fellows, I am he who ponders such a miracle, William Shakespeare. Oh, the name's Meterman. Adron B. Meterman. What is this? Is there a joke to your name or a pun? Adron B. Meterman. Adron B. Abrobity. Whatever. Never mind. I work for the Altamont Gas Company, East End branch office. You're a gas man. Oh, that's why his name is Meterman. Ah, I remember now. It was yesterday on Briar Road. Oh yes, she's right. It's him. Oh, what's this? I don't understand what he's doing. He's like peeking at like, wait. Oh. Never mind. I thought for a second that like the gas stove was like burning a soap and then the soap like left like was like burned, like melting, and then the fumes of the soap was what killed him. But I don't know if that's the case. What is he doing? He can't be peeking into anything. There's no windows there. He's just like staring at a bar of soap. It looks like he's trying to see into Soseki-san's logics. Isn't that the ground floor? Isn't that where what's his name is? Shakespeare's? I thought Shakespeare was on the ground floor. Was it not? Is this Soseki's room? With the bar soap? No, whatever, I don't fucking know. Something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Excuse me. Could we have a word? Ah. Yes, we spotted him outside Mr. Garadeb's house that morning. He's a gas company employee. What does he have to do with this case? Oh, Mr. William Shakespeare. You were a victim in this miserable affair, correct? O heaven, O hell, do you command me to remember that sweet poison that did cross me and cross mine innocent lips? I subpoenaed him for the trial, with his doctor's permission. Hearing the testimony of the aggrieved will remove any room for doubt from the juror's mind, I'm sure. Behold, you have only to rearrange the letters of my name to see that me is a seraph, an angel indeed. Thus be I noble of mind, sweet of nature, and verily honest of heart, as all heavenly angels be. Shut up. Don't because there isn't a less contrived meaning in your name. No, not at all. The jurors seem to be very moved by this man, I'm afraid. Actually taking the seraph anagram idea seriously? Why? Why? Isn't he having a hard time getting gigs? Thank you, witnesses, for your illuminating introductions. But my lord, what's the man next to Mr. Shamspeare doing here? The gas man, I mean. What? Me? Well now. Allow me to enlighten my learned friend. You recall, I presume, your earlier impertinence when you suggested that the victim had another visitor to his room on the night in question. And moreover, that the victim is a compulsive liar. What? No, I didn't quite say that. This young chin stroker is here to controvert your wild claims, conclusively. Is that not so, Mr. Meterman? Hey, hang on, no, I'm just here. I hereby call for your formal testimony. You will tell the court as lucidly as possible what happened on the night in question. What may smile and be a villain? Yes, it doth pain me, but let the truth be spoken, the truth of that wintry night of my discontent. It must be real, like, nice to be able to rub a chin that big, but also it must be so annoying to have a chin that big. Anime's weird. The snow laid about. My neighbor did cometh in the evening, bearing a gift of tea. But marry, bitter was his drink, and when he left, I did fall prostrate on my table. Was the tea alone did pass my lips that late hour, naught else. I was outside this bloke's window in the freezing cold all night, keeping an eye on his room. No one else visited his room but that short little round-backed Eastern fella. It doesn't make any sense! There's no windows! How would you be peeking at the— Wait, what did you say? You were keeping an eye on Mr. Shamspeare's room all night? That's right. Of course, the bloke's window's all but locked up, isn't it? But there's a little gap in the bricks where you could see into the room. Whoa, you're a perv! So I spent the night trying to keep my teeth from chattering as I peered in through that. Question is, sir, why? Oh, well now, that's because he's on my list. What a piece of work is a man! Wherefore wilt thou not stare in wonderment? What are you talking about? This buzzing busybody hath not part in this play. I pray thee, pay him no heed, make no more ado about his tedious words. What you say about me? What is happening? Just fucking tell me what the hell is— Calm yourself. This court is concerned with what happened on the night in question. Nothing more. Indeed, that is so. And, as the testimony we have heard just clearly reveals, there's no one other than the accused present at the time who could have carried out this crime. Pray tell, I just need answers. Like, I don't even care about— I just want to know why the soap. Why the soap? Why was he eating soap? Well, I believe this may be the final testimony of the trial. Now, counsel, the defense may proceed with the cross-examination. Yes, my lord. Okay, well, we know what's a lie. He said that nothing else touched his lips, but there's clearly like a bite in the bar soap or something like that, so— Slow laid cometh, okay, very bitter was his drink. Okay, he doesn't like bitter tea, whatever the fuck is green tea, right? So it's probably bitter tea, whatever. That was the tea alone that did pass these fucking lips. Nothing more. No? No? Oh, come on! I just wanted to show the picture of the bit soap. Why was this wrong? Fine, I'll press the fucking man. Is the man merely dishing out penalties? I wasn't reading the entire thing. Where's the tea? They pierced my lips. I was outside this bloke's window in the freezing cold, keeping it. Okay, you know what? Okay, let's go. Go. I'm gonna press everything. Whatever. To be clear, my neighbor. You're referring to the defendant, Mr. Natsume? Oh, indeed, sir. Perchance thou wouldst that I call him the man from upstairs. Yeah, so they're saying it wrong, right? They kept saying that the B-man was staring into Soseki-san's room, but it's not his room. It's Shamspeare's room, right? Soseki's upstairs, so that's like wrong, right? I'm not stupid, right? That is wrong. At what time did the mustachioed Nipponese visit you in your room? He literally said Soseki's upstairs. The bar of soap was Shamspeare's, and the man said that he was peeking into Shamspeare's room. Okay. I don't know. It's just weird to think that they would just have a trip up like that in the text. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't... Whatever. Our meeting was promised for the hour of 9. And lo did he come to tender a gift of fragrant tea. Details which are in accordance with the defendant's own testimony, yes. And we were embroiled in such a literary debate as history had not seen before. By which I presume he means their discussion about who was the stronger, Romeo or Juliet? I, Shakespeare, did play the part of young Romeo, whilst my neighbor played the fair Juliet. Each of us dressed as would our characters be to bring weight upon our merry experiment. Dare not imagine the scene. What, you don't want to imagine Soseki in a dress? Frailty, thy name is woman. Canst thou imagine how dismayed I was? Yes, I had heard of the Eastern art of jujitsu, but ne'er did I dream it to be a skill practiced by the comely maiden. Juliet beat Romeo up? This is not helping our case. Oh, they just beat each other up? They didn't- I thought they were supposed to have like a discussion. I believe the court has heard enough about your earth-shattering literary debate. Perhaps you could reiterate your statement about the tea that the accused brought to your room. My liege, I am thy servant. Gladly I would do thy bidding. I am annoying myself with this voice. But Mary, bitter was his drink. Oh! Let me stop you there. Mr. Natsume left your room at 11 o'clock, but it wasn't until after 2 that the poison had made you collapse. That amounts to more than 3 hours of missing time. If that ain't the fucking dance move of the fucking century, hell yeah, let's fucking go, Shakespeare. You're fucking annoying, but I dig the fucking... I like that a lot. Oh, funny. If the defendant had really put the poison into your tea, that 3-hour window of time is something you're gonna have to explain. Gladly. 'Tis an easy task. What? I did drink of the tea not while my guest did tarry, but after he took leave of me. Fate, 'twas stone cold, but at 1 hour post midnight, verily were my lips parched. That doesn't sound normal. Nay, 'tis quite ordinary, sire. After all, thou wouldst recall our fiery debate. Amidst such argument, there'd be no time for fiery tea. That'd be the perfect time to drink tea. You guys- oh no, they were beating each other up. They weren't talking, presumably. You and Juliet again, and who was stronger? It's a Shakespeare. In summary, allow me to confirm. Do not come here with the intention of naming your attacker. But of course, my liege. 'Twas the stooped lover of words did attempt to shuffle me off this mortal coil. I'll know what that means. You wish the tea alone did pass me lips that without not else. So, didn't have any kind of evening meal? Dinner? Supper? Ha! Fie on luxury, or fee on luxury, fie fo fam on gluttony. To eat thrice daily is but a waste of time. Sorry? I would that my belly were full, no more aught than the sun doth rise. Are you on a horse? What are you doing? God! Well, most heroic eating habits, I must say. Night and day do I fill my hours with learned study of the great bard and playwrights. Hence it is that there doth not in my chamber be then the costume of mine art. I don't know what I just said. That would appear to be the case, as even a rodent was found starved to death in your room. You just let a rat die in your room? You should have at least eaten it. Now I think of it, it's not just food that was conspicuously missing from that room, is it? I don't recall seeing a single player script anywhere. For I have devoured them all. You've eaten them. Every word be within my skull. Didst thou imagine otherwise? Right. Wasn't misleading at all. Now, could you turn around, do you think? Which brings us to the conclusion. The only way the poison could have passed the victim's lips is in the tea. I was outside this bloke window in the freezing cold all night, but the windows of that house have all been filled in. A historical artifact of the now defunct window tax. Yeah, you're right there. All bricked up horribly. But as it happened, there's a little part of the brickwork at the bottom corner that's been opened up. I was looking in through that gap. Yes, there were a few bricks loose, weren't there? And for some strange reason, a couple of bars of soap lined up on the ledge outside as well. I don't like going around poking my chin in other people's business, especially on freezing cold nights. But there's my orders. That's what I'll keep doing, as long as there's breath in my body. Who'd you bow to? What's with all the theatricals today? Out of interest, Mr. Meterman, after the accused had left and returned to his own lodgings, did you see the victim leave the room at all? No, he never left. He was in that room the whole time, as far as I'm concerned. And we can therefore discount the possibility of suicide. How can you be so sure of that? The police carried out a thorough investigation of the scene and found no receptacles for the poison. And since we know the victim didn't leave his room, and hence didn't dispose of the poison's container himself, it's clear that this was no attempted suicide. Only the culprit could have removed the receptacle. Oh yes, lucidly explained, counsel. Thank you. Really was. Can't argue with the logic. No one else visited this room but that short little round bag Eastern fellow. You say, a short little round back Eastern fella. You can't be sure it was the defendant then. How many other short little round back Nipponese with a mustache do you think there are in London? Well, of course, it's only a narrow gap and it was quite dark, so I didn't notice the mustache. But it showed up at around 9, so I'm pretty sure of myself. And when the person you saw arrived, did he and Mr. Shamsphere drink tea together? Nah, sorry. I couldn't say. Why not? Because I couldn't see into the room all that well, could I? But what I did see was the silhouette of that little round-back fella wearing a pretty dress. Then the pair of them started some kind of wrestling match. I tell you, I didn't know what to make of it. I want to see Soseki in a dress wrestling. I suppose that was the Romeo and Juliet championship battle getting underway. Mr. Meterman, allow me to confirm one final time. Apart from the accused, can you state with certainty no one else had visited the victim on the night in question? Ew, his chin jiggles. Do chins jiggle? There's a bone here. Unless his chin is like all meat. I don't have much of a chin, so it's hard to say. No question. Gasman's on. Who said hold it? Is it Soseki? Oh, you're not Soseki. Oh, it's the jurors about to be all like, guilty, 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 my lord. Orders me. Yes, Mr. Foreman. I've kept my mouth shut and listened up now, but this has gone off far long enough. Whatever. Are you all with me? Yeah. Are we to understand that you ladies and gentlemen of the jury are in agreement with one another? That you reached a unanimous decision? Too right we have. Are you all with me? Yeah. Wait, no. The defense is in the middle of a cross-examination. To be honest, I was holding out a bit of hope for you, young man. Especially after you identified those few hours that followed the accused leaving the victim's room.
Yes, the 3 missing hours, as you put it. But in the end, what difference do they make? None as far as I can see.
Croissant-ass bitch.
And since that's now apparent, there's really no reason to delay our decision any longer.
Like I was saying before, if I don't take 5 bob home with me tonight, the missus will blow her top. Oh, what's that? Sorry, I didn't quite catch what you said. Very well. Let the court be apprised of your decisions. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your leanings as to the defendant's culpabilities.
Yuzai!
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 Yuzai! Yuzai!
The fire and the fucking catapulting. God, such a stupid concept. All of you? Well, it would appear that the jury is indeed unanimous. So, this time at least, it seems justice will be done. All's well that ends well, as they say. This calls for a toast, I feel. To the guilty being punished. Ugh. Ah!